Hey everyone, it's Cool Game Facts here, but not really, it's formerly Gamer Facts. But it's my channel, and we do things my way. So today we're doing a deep dive into the PlayStation Vault, unearthing the skeletons of Sony's biggest blunders, the ones they wish they could erase from history. Get ready to cringe, laugh, and maybe even cry a little as we uncover the top 10 PlayStation fails of all time. We're talking epic fails, the kind that make you question what Sony was thinking. From consoles that flopped harder than a fish out of water to peripherals that were about as useful as a screen door on a submarine, we're leaving no stone unturned. So grab your snacks, buckle up, and prepare to be amazed by the sheer audacity of these PlayStation mishaps. Let's do this! Remember the good old days of the original PlayStation? Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII? Classics, right? So, Sony decided to cash in on that nostalgia with the PlayStation Classic. Sounds like a good idea, right? Wrong! The game selection was so bad it felt like Sony just grabbed a bunch of random games while blindfolded. And the emulation? It was like trying to run a PS1 on a toaster. Laggy, glitchy, and just plain bad. Epic fail, Sony. Next up, we've got the PlayStation Vita, a handheld console so powerful it could probably run Crysis on max settings. Okay, maybe not, but it was pretty impressive for its time, but guess what? Nobody cared. Despite having awesome games like Gravity Rush and Tearaway, the Vita just couldn't compete with the Nintendo 3 deciseconds. Maybe it was the expensive proprietary memory cards, or maybe people just didn't want to carry around another device. Whatever the reason, the Vita went the way of the dodo. R.I.P., little buddy. Remember the Nintendo Wii? Of course you do. Everyone and their grandma had one. So naturally Sony had to try and get in on that motion control action with the PlayStation Move. But here's the thing, the Wii worked because it was simple, intuitive, and actually fun to use. The Move? Not so much. It felt clunky, imprecise, and the games were about as exciting as watching paint dry. Swing and a miss, Sony. Okay, this one's a head-scratcher. The PlayStation TV was supposed to be a streaming device for playing PlayStation 4 games on other TVs in your house. Sounds cool, right? But wait, there's more. It could also play Vita games. And some PlayStation 3 games, and even stream movies. It was like Sony threw everything at the wall and hoped something would stick. Spoiler alert, nothing stuck. The PlayStation TV was a confusing mess with a limited game library and zero marketing. No wonder it flopped harder than a pancake. The PlayStation Portable Go, a console so ahead of its time that it forgot to be good. Sony thought they were being super innovative by ditching UMD discs in favor of digital downloads. The problem? The PSP Go had a tiny storage capacity and the downloads were expensive. Plus it was more expensive than the regular PSP. Who in their right mind would choose this over the original PSP? Not many people, apparently. Remember Second Life, that virtual world where you could be anything you wanted? Well, Sony tried to create their own version with PlayStation Home, and it was about as successful as a screen door on a submarine. The idea was cool on paper, create a virtual world where PlayStation users could hang out, play games, and watch movies. But in reality, PlayStation Home was a laggy, buggy mess populated by creepy avatars and even creepier ads. It was like a digital ghost town, and nobody wanted to live there. The PlayStation 3 had the potential to be great. It was a powerful console with cutting-edge technology. But then Sony went and pulled a Kmart Blue Light special and slapped a $599 price tag on it. Seriously, $599? That's more than some people's rent. Needless to say, the PS3 launch was a disaster. It didn't help that the console was plagued with hardware issues and had a severe lack of games. Sony eventually turned things around, but the PS3's launch will forever be remembered as one of the biggest fails in gaming history. In 2011, the unthinkable happened. The PlayStation Network went down, and it stayed down, for weeks. Gamers around the world were left in a state of shock and despair as they were unable to access their games, friends, or even buy new stuff. But it gets worse. The outage wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a major security breach that exposed the personal information of millions of users. Yeah, Sony really screwed up this time. Remember the PlayStation Eye? No? Don't worry, nobody does. This little camera was supposed to revolutionize the way we played games, but it ended up being about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. The problem was that the Eye was just a bad camera. It had terrible resolution, poor low-light performance, and it was about as responsive as a sloth on tranquilizers. The only thing it was good for was collecting dust. Back in the early 2000s, online gaming was still in its infancy. But that didn't stop Sony from trying to cash in with the PlayStation 2 network adapter. This bulky add-on promised to bring the world of online gaming to your living room. But there was just one small problem. Most people were still using dial-up internet back then. Trying to play an online game with dial-up was like trying to run a marathon through quicksand. It was slow, painful, and usually ended in frustration. The PS2 network adapter was a noble effort, but it was simply ahead of its time. And there you have it, folks. The top 10 PlayStation failures that Sony probably wants you to forget. From consoles that crashed and burned to peripherals that were about as useful as a screen door on a submarine, we've seen it all. But hey, let's give Sony some credit. They've had their fair share of successes too, and at the end of the day, even their failures have taught us valuable lessons about what not to do in the world of gaming. So next time you're feeling down about a gaming fail, just remember that Sony has been there, done that, and probably even made a commemorative t-shirt to celebrate the occasion. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content.